Here you go. Okay guys, we are back for the last seminar of the camp. This is seminar number 3 and it's sports nutrition. Before we just did recovery, and this is another form of recovery, is what you eat. Okay, what you put into your body. This is one of the main fuels to make sure that you are recovering and ready to go for your next training session. So I have another brother, again, very appreciative to have him here. Matty's actually been living with me. He's from Melbourne and he is an AFL player and personal trainer, online personal trainer, and also face-to-face as well. And he plays in the AFL league here and also in Melbourne. So let's welcome Matty.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me, guys. I hope you've been learning a lot about your rugby, technically, tactically. James is an awesome person, an awesome mentor, even for me. I'm got nothing to do with rugby, so on all fronts, mentally, physically, and technically, you're in good hands with James. So yeah, he asked me to come in and give a presentation on nutrition. And nutrition's a funny thing because so many people have different views and opinions and methods on what works, right? And what works for them is completely different to what works for someone else. So I wrote this first point, sports nutrition, why does it matter? And without looking at it, like, I want a hand who thinks, or why does it matter? I want one of you guys to put your hand up and say why does it matter to you, or why does it matter to sport, or every day-to-day performance. Anyone?
Why is sports nutrition?
Yeah, why is nutrition important, basically? Why is food important?
To stay healthy.
Stay healthy, yep. Good. Yep.
To keep your body going.
Get your body going, good. Love it. Yep, anyone else? What about you at the front? I know you want to say something.
Like to keep you energized.
Get you energized, yeah, exactly. Good, all really good answers. Well done. So I've written in these, circle forms what I think is important, what I've seen proven to be important, and obviously the first one is we're all human, right? We're all living organisms that need to survive. We need energy. We need to live and breathe, and that food gives us that fuel. So whether we're athletes at professional level, or whether we're your parents who might be working in office, everyone needs food as fuel to function and also get through their day, right? So next one, it comes to fuel performance and recovery. So this is what we'll talk about more during the seminar in later slides. But they're obviously most important for athletes or people who are regularly training. One that people don't think a lot about is the social and cultural connection. So food has, think about from the start of time, people connect through food. Like people, our ancestors all had their own, unique ways of connecting with different foods, and it's still like that to this day. So, you guys might be from different backgrounds, and you go visit each other's house, and that your friend's family will be cooking something completely different to what your family will cook, because the differences in culture, right? So that connection is something people don't think a lot about, but that's why food also matters. And another one, which we won't really talk about today, but it's got a lot to do with healing. So inflammation, disease, nutrition has a lot of power in that as well. Not as important for sports, maybe if you have an injury and you want to use nutrition to help you, but we won't go too much in depth for that today. So one big point is I wanted to tell you guys, it's always evolving. So does anyone know what that means? Like nutrition in the world, it's always evolving, yeah?
Like it's always changing. It's changing to what the world is right now and suiting the world.
Yeah, so good answer. It's always evolving, as in there's always going to be new information, new studies, new research, right? And then that will be brought into messaging into us as a community and society. So you might see something on the internet or from a presentation at your school from someone like doing what I'm doing that says one recommendation, and then 6 months later there's a new study and another person's promoting that, and that might conflict with what you learned, right? So the main point I want to make to you guys about that is there's abundance of information in the world about nutrition, and who are you going to listen to, right? Who do you actually listen to in all this information? And my answer is there is never one way to do this. You need to experiment, and individualization is always number one. Right, so what's your name? Bucket hat? Kobe. And you looking at down, what's your name? Brody. So Kobe and Brody, you might get information from me that works for Kobe, but it might not work for you, right? But you learn another method that works for you, and it helps you perform on the field, but also perform day to day. And that's what works for you. So that's what I mean by individualization. So you've got to be willing to always experiment and know that this is always going to be number one, individualization. Cool. All right, perfect example. I'll put this up because of what I just said. So these 3 professional athletes, pretty popular guys: Novak Djokovic, tennis; Ronaldo, soccer; and Quade Cooper, rugby union. Yeah. All right, so these 3 guys are, in the media, in articles about what they eat, to have the physiques and the performance that they do. Good question. No? Okay.
A lot of soccer players, eat heaps of crap.
Sorry?
A lot of famous soccer players eat heaps of crap.
Yeah. Can you give me an example?
I don't know his name, but I know a couple soccer players on the internet that just eats crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that could, like I said from this slide, you're going to see heaps of different information. You might see an article where a professional soccer player, is eating chocolate and a burger for dinner, but that just might be one meal of their whole month, or one meal of their whole, week. So you want to be careful about that information. Like, will that work for you? You've got to test it out for yourself. Think critical about that. You got another question? No? All right, cool. Okay. All right, so back to this one. All right, so these 3 guys. Quade Cooper eats meat primarily in his diet. Cristiano Ronaldo eats all foods: fruits, vegetables, meat, fish. He eats an abundance, a variety of foods. Novak Djokovic is plant-based. So I wrote they're all world-class performers at their sport. They're all on different diets, but the 2 things in common. Who wants to read those out? Yeah.
This is field performance and recovery.
Exactly. Right. So as athletes, or anyone, we will all have our own individual differences, like these 3 world-class performers, but we need to make sure that we're doing both. What is it?
Field performance.
Say it louder.
Field performance and recovery.
Good. Awesome. Right, that's the big take-home point from that. So, yep, you might see, what's your name at the back? Nathan, you might see someone eating crap, right? And that might just be one player in the thousands of players that play soccer. But you've got to find what works for you, and maybe a little bit of chocolate or something might be okay at certain points if that's what you like.
Yeah, but they're addicted to it.
Yeah. I'll chat to you after to see exactly what they eat, and I'll have a proper conversation with you. All right. I wanted to make it really simple for you guys. If you wanted to take photos of the presentation, you can. These 4 areas, I call them the big rocks, right? And it's a little bit more in depth than just fuel and performance and recovery. So the first one is obviously fuel performance. We want to make sure we're giving us enough food to perform on the field, but then also recover, which comes into our protein intake, which is a macronutrient of food, or like a part of a food. number 3 is colours. So we'll go into more about that, but basically it's vegetables and fruit and the variety of those, which contain something called vitamins and minerals. So think colours, think vitamins and minerals, vegetables and fruit for health, right? So obviously people like Quade Cooper don't really have a lot of that stuff. He's experimented with it. He's already done his own methods of individualisation and he's found what works for him, which is meat-based. That's what I'm encouraging you guys. But a lot of the research and a lot of health-based studies have proven that vegetables and fruits and good servings of them are going to be good for you. And the last one,
Hydration.
yeah, what does that mean?
Drink.
Drink water. Hydration is just a fancy word for drink water. Alright, so might be simple, but hell, you'd be surprised when you get to adult how many people are under drinking water and how that can affect things like gaining weight or underperforming. Hydration is such a simple thing, but hell, it's so critical.
Hey Matty, just one question, mate.
Yeah.
Just for the boys. How much of the body is made up of water? You know, like being a professional athlete. Just being a professional athlete, like a lot of the focus around training and games is about hydration. So how much would you say
so there's studies to say anywhere between 60 and 70%, which obviously is a huge amount. And then, you know, you guys would know playing professionally and like even me when I played semi-professionally, players will weigh themselves before a match and after a match to see the percentage of weight lost. And if you're losing more than 2%, right, so if I weigh 100 kilos before the game and I weigh 98 kilos, which is 2 kilos or 2%, right, then that's getting a little bit too dangerous and I haven't drunk enough water during the game. So I need to make sure that my hydration post-game is on point, right? So that's not going out drinking alcohol or not drinking any water and drinking Coke and soft drink. You need to make sure you're hydrated, especially like look at the city you guys live in or like the state we live in. It's hot, so we need to make sure we're hydrating and making it count for that as well. So you don't have to weigh yourself pre and post game like professionals do, but take that into account. All right, so the first point, the first big rock, fuel for performance. So I've just, I think it was, someone said it's just, energizing yourself. Carbs is something, another macronutrient, so like protein, carbs is something that we want to take advantage of. And we can talk more about specific carbs, but that's our big one, our big energy source. So foods that are high in carbs are going to be good for our performance, right? Generally speaking, all right? So like I said, always keep individualization to the main point. But I wanted to give you guys an idea about what you could do pre-match or in the match. So 3 to 5 hours pre-match, I put here pasta, like a vegetable in it as well. Could be beef, could be chicken, I don't know, just got it off Google. But 3 to 5 hours before your match, having a big meal like that. If you're playing at midday and you wake up at 7, 8 o'clock, then it might be like eggs on toast with spinach or some other vegetable as well, right? But generally you want that meal to be a little bit bigger, right? And quality carbs, so it releases energy slowly. As we get closer to the match, we might have something like a jam sandwich or a peanut butter jam sandwich, like something smaller, but still giving us some more fuel, 1 to 1.5 hours out. And 30 minutes pre-match, half time, you might have something a little bit smaller, like a banana or a handful of lollies or a Gatorade, right? So that is what fueling for your match or your training could look like. And I've written here, what do we notice in these meals? Anyone want to answer that? What do we notice?
There's sugar.
Yeah, there's sugar in this area, yeah. Are you saying the whole of them or just this one?
All of them.
All of them?
Sugar.
Yep. Come back to that, you.
The other one's bigger.
This one's bigger? Yeah, good, love it. Anyone else? Yeah.
They've all got carbs.
Louder.
They've all got carbs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so keeping it as simple as possible. Bigger, medium, small, small. Why is that? We don't want to be eating this 30 minutes before because we don't have time to digest it, right? The answer with sugar was good. I'm gonna say, like, based on these meals examples and what you want in your food, what you want for your performance prep, you want this to be, you know, higher in sugar because it's gonna give you like a quick bout of energy. Versus this, you don't want this to be high in sugar. If you're reversing the roles and you have that 3 to 5 hours and that half an hour, you're probably gonna throw up in the first half, right? So you want this to be low in sugar but good quality carbs, like think pasta, think rice, oats, wheat bix, you know, and you know, make it what you want, whether you add you know, berries to it or other fruits. Then as you get closer, the meals get smaller, so we digest, and the point of this is to quickly digest and go energy again, right? Energy for performance. Right, any questions on that? Anyone want to give us an example about what they currently do? Oh, I'll pick someone out. What do you currently do?
What sports I do?
Nah, do you have a routine for your meal prep?
Really?
Yeah. Anyone got a routine or anyone have anything that they think about? No. Does this give you guys help? Does this give you some guidance?
Before the game and also the night before?
Sorry?
The routine the night before and the 3 to 5 hours before, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, routine before.
Yeah, I had a routine. I used to have spaghetti bolognese the night before.
Yeah.
And chicken and rice, or chicken and pasta.
Yeah.
I'm a 3 to 5 hour pre-match. I would always be like that, just so I know what I'm digesting.
Yeah.
So I would keep it the same to save myself any risk of digesting something that I'm not familiar with. So I would keep it exactly the same portion, 3 to 5 hours, exact same timing before every game. So if I'm playing at 3 p.m, I'm eating at 11 a.m. If I'm playing at 7 p.m, I'm eating at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
That big meal. And it's always the same. It depends, everyone's individual, like Maddie was saying at the start. What works for me may not work for Maddie, may not work for Nathaniel, Tom, etc. So you got to figure out now, if you figure out now what works for you, that's going to help with your school sport and club sport. I remember at 16, 17, I started to have the same meal when I would go out and play school sport. So if you guys start at 12, 11, 10, you're already ahead of me and you're already ahead of 11 other kids that are going to rock up to the game and they're going to either not have had anything or had an average meal. You've already beaten them before the game. So you have to think about, you're not just playing the game on the field. Every single win before the game, you have to control. So you're not just winning, you're not just participating in an 80-minute game to win a game. You have to win every single part of your day. And nutrition is one area that you must win. That makes sense? Eddie?
Nathaniel?
Yeah, I think James hit the nail on the head, boys. As you get older, this stuff becomes very more important.
What was your routine for
My
nutrition?
routine, actually pretty similar to James. So I'll eat the same thing the night before. If we're playing at, say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll eat either spaghetti bolognese or another pasta-based meal, whether it's chicken, carbonara or something. The morning I'd have wheat bix and a banana, or oats and banana. I'm not a big eater on game day, just because of my mindset was you always want to be light going on the field. You want to be able to move well, and you don't want to go into a game feeling a bit sluggish or you got something in your belly. So it's a good time for you boys to experiment as you're going into high school, see what works for you, because as you get older, Maddie's showing you becomes very important, especially as sport becomes more and more competitive. So.
Sweet. Thanks, bro. All right.
I think it's interesting thing there too, Maddie, is it's not packet food.
Yep.
It's not, you know, stopping and grabbing a cheeseburger from Macca's on the way.
Yeah.
Or a sandwich from the servo.
Yep.
Just whole food.
Yep.
And that's what we should be spreading, not just across game preparation, we should be training every day. And, you know, if you eat wrong during the week, then yeah, reward yourself on the weekend and get in the habit where the good food is going to make you feel good all round.
Absolutely.
Just a small one, mate. So boys, when I was at the Titans, so if we played here at Seaboss, say on a Friday night, we'll go into camp. So the reason why we'd do that is because the coaches wanted to make sure everyone ate the right food, because that's how important nutrition is. So we'd have lunch and then we'd have a pre-game meal. So it goes to show, even when you get to the NRL levels, that or Super Rugby or AFL, that nutrition, particularly around game time, is very important. So
good. What was your name?
Thomas.
Tom. What Tom said as well about the real foods. One thing that I want you guys, and it's super applicable, like who goes to the grocery shop with their parents? Yeah, most of us, right? And when we go, a lot of us will seep through the aisles and pick that packaged stuff. But generally, the real foods, those whole foods that Thomas was talking about, they're going to be on the outside of those aisles. So when you think about those real foods and what you're putting in your body, think what's outside the aisles is generally going to be better for you than what's inside those aisles, which is all packaged and processed.
So what do you see on the outside aisles? What are on the outside aisles?
Fruits, vegetables, protein, so meats, fish, fresh whole foods, plant-based proteins as well, dairies, beans, legumes can be out there as well. I think real foods are on the outside, faker foods on the inside. Right? You want to be fake or real?
Good question.
All right, the next big rock, so second big rock, is protein intake. Right, so I've just put photos for here, but I'll talk a little bit more about it. Protein intake is so critical for our recovery, number one, our human function, right, and also our appetite control. So, appetite control means like, who gets home from school and has ever just wanted to veg out on snacks like chips, lollies, like chocolate? Have you guys ever wanted to do that? Yeah? So I've done that. Sometimes I still even do that. And that will be because my protein intake is low. And so we're talking outside footy performance or rugby performance now. We're talking just day to day. If we have protein sources, right, at breakfast and lunch and dinner, our main meals, we're going to be much more satisfied, right, and be less likely to want to get chocolate and chips and all that crap, right? Does that make sense? Right, so an example might be, you have a glass of milk and you have eggs, right, with spinach for breakfast. For lunch, you might have a chicken salad sandwich, right? So, load up on the chicken, load up on the salad, right? And you might have fruit as a snack, right? So that's already 2 quality meals. And then you might have a snack like a chips or something as a snack at recess as well, right? And then for dinner, obviously you guys probably aren't cooking yet, but this is why we want to educate your parents as well. Having a main protein source, so maybe it's like lentils if you want to do off the meat, or maybe it's a rib steak and vegetables, right? They're 3 quality protein sources, and I guarantee you'll be fitter, leaner, stronger than your opposition, right? You'll be performing better, and you're going to be craving those average snacks as much. Sorry for swearing. Alright, third big rock, eat all the colours. Alright, so like I said, well, it's a bit ugly. The vegetables and the fruits, that's got our vitamins and minerals. So you would have heard it, I'm sure you would have heard it, but even adults these days, they have such a low adherence to hitting their recommended of vegetables and fruits. So find out the ones that you enjoy and tell your mum and dad, who hates a vegetable, a specific vegetable? Anyone not like a certain vegetable? Yeah, bucket hat. Kobe, what was your name? Kobe? What do you hate? Eggplant? And hates eggplant. What about one that you like? Carrot. So, you know, tell your parents, like, hey Mum, I want to improve my vegetables. I really enjoy carrots and the way you can cook carrots, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of eggplant. So then you get in that, because people have this all or nothing mentality, oh no, I don't want vegetables, but it's like, no, we actually can get them into our diet more than we think if we recognise that it's a preference and make it part of our day-to-day meal. So it could be shredded carrot in your chicken salad, and then roasted carrot for dinner next to your steak. See the pattern that I'm trying to get you to think about? But, cool. And then fruits as well. So fruits and veggies, get them in. Yeah, out that.
For example, I don't like tomatoes, but I like mangoes.
You don't like tomatoes, you like mangoes. Perfect. So then you say, hey Mum, Dad, can you hook me up with, 5 mangoes Monday to Friday for school recess? Please don't put any tomatoes in my sandwich. Yeah, perfect like that. So think about, all right, what fruits and veggies do I like, what don't I like? Talk to your parents about it, and help them help you with your footy in your life. All right, and the big fourth one, hydration. So, as Nathan said, like our hydration, our body is made of 60% of water. Right, so it's obviously important that we get, hydrated throughout the day, or drinking water, regularly throughout the day. Right, really easy thing to do. We're so lucky here in Australia to access, good water. So we want to make sure that that's prioritised day to day, but also especially for performance or days that we train. All right, I've written a bit of a guide here. It's like a guide, right? So generally what we're going to be hitting. So with the carbs for fuel, like James is saying, develop your own pre-match training routine now. So not just on game day, but also training days, right? Make sure you're developing a routine, experiment now. If you guys can nail it this early, right, you're going to have an edge on your competition, which is going to be fantastic. Protein. So when I went through before, those servings, those protein sources, having 3 to 5 of those serving sizes a day, right? For recovery, and also remember, control your appetite. You're going to be snacking less on the crap if you're giving yourself quality protein sources. Number 3, eat the colours, right? So 3 to 5 days of what? Work. And then I've just put it simply and like brutal, drink water, hydrate at least 2 litres a day, and especially with training and heat, right? You guys are North Australian livers, right? I'm from Melbourne, so I'll say that, but being in Queensland, it's much hotter, right, than any other states. You're gonna have to factor that in, but general rule of thumb, 2 litres plus. Alright, and again, just another simple step-by-step. Understand those big rocks: fuel, protein, colours, and hydration. Get a good water bottle, right, if you don't already have a good one. Know what you like. So you guys thinking about that, what you told me before, like that's perfect. Know what you like and talk to your parents about it. Maybe write a list out as well. And experiment. And the last one, guys, I want you to read that out for me.
Step by step.
Yep. So what do I mean by that, do you reckon? What do I mean by step by step? Yeah, I'm not great. Yeah, the way you read it. Right, yeah, what does it mean to you, step by step? Sorry? I mean, yeah, we want to make changes. We just don't want to, basically we don't want to change everything in one go. Feel so overwhelmed, right? and then that puts us off making positive changes altogether. Alright, so making progress instead of perfection. You know, maybe you go seek out expert advice later down the track. I don't really recommend that now. I just recommend experimenting and testing what works for you. So the whole point is understand those big rocks, right? And continue to experiment and see what works for you. That gets you going good on game day, in life, and on match day. Right? Any questions? Who learned something? Oh, yeah, no, back.
Just, boys, you probably don't understand the importance of the nutrition side of things yet, but like I spoke to you guys earlier back on there, I went on a special diet, which was a lot of protein, lots of fruits and veggies, and it really helped reduce inflammation in my body. So recovery, whether it be just from game day, soreness, muscle fatigue, or injuries, eating the right foods, organic foods, healthy foods, it really does make a massive, massive change. So you should all really be thankful that you're getting this information now. I wish I had it at the same age, but if you can really get these things sorted early, it'll help you recover, build your body, and go further in the sport and life.
Yeah. Who learned something today? Yeah. Hit me up.
Like routines. You can get special routines before games.
Yep. Really, really, really important. Like James is saying, your routine, if you're having one less decision to make on game day about what I should eat, right? What does that give your mind more space for?
The game.
Exactly. Form better. So routine, critical. Who else learned something? Come on, you.
What is the most important thing?
Yeah, and probably the easiest, right? Yeah. Like literally, you don't have to go to the grocery, you can go to a water tap, fill it up, drink. Yeah. What's your name? Yeah. Jay. What'd you learn, Jay? Yeah. What's one thing you might eat? Yeah, nice. Work. Or if you have a midday game and you wake up in the morning, what might you have for breakfast? Nathaniel gave you an example. Oats, yeah, with banana or another fruit. Good work. Right, that does us. Thank you for having me. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
And yeah, James will obviously keep you guys accountable, keep mentoring you. Make sure you utilise these guys that have, as part of this academy. As an athlete myself, you got to utilise these mentors and these people for everything they've got. They're doing this because they love helping you guys. They're doing it because they love rugby and they want to grow you guys as rugby players, but also people as young adult. Eventually you'll be young adults. So really utilise them and show gratitude and work with them as best you can. And yeah, that's the last thing I'll say.
That's awesome. Thank you, buddy. Big round of applause.